spinning back fist. The referee starts walking towards her. She threw a swinging back fist in a game and got away with it. One possession later. This is one possession later. So, does this happen? Does this happen? Obviously, the Sophie Cunningham situation doesn't happen if you eject Marina Mabrey. Does that happen if you call a flagrant for a swinging back fist in a basketball game? A swinging back fist.
She said that Kathy is a disgrace. If she doesn't address the WNBA referee problem that happened tonight, it's because they failed to protect players and take control of the game. There needs to be a change.
What kind of league lets a player body check a rising star and stay in the game? That's exactly what happened when Marina Mabrey blindsided Caitlin Clark during one of the wildest games of the WNBA season. 6 technicals, 3 ejections, 2 flagrant fouls. It was chaos from start to finish. But in the middle of it all, one moment stood out, and not for the right reason. Mabrey didn't just foul Clark. She launched her. No ball in sight. No warning. Just a full-speed shove that sent Clark crashing to the floor. And somehow, she stayed in the game.
Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her.
That's right, no ejection. Not even a flagrant 2. Just a quiet technical while the refs looked the other way. Fans were stunned. Even the commentators were speechless. If anyone else had done it, they'd be out on the spot. But Mabrey, she walked away like nothing happened.
You know what the commissioner should do? Mabrey should be out for 10 games. 10 games at least.
If you're tired of watching dirty plays get ignored while the league pretends nothing happened, subscribe. This channel calls it exactly how it is. And here's the thing, this wasn't just heat of the moment contact. It looked targeted, calculated, personal. Clark never even saw it coming. She was playing the game, head turned, focused, then boom, on the ground. The crowd exploded. Social media, even louder.
To do what she did to Caitlin and be able to stay in the game is ridiculous.
Officials had the power to shut it down right there. One whistle, one flagrant, one ejection. That's all it would have taken. Instead, they let the game spiral out of control. They let the message stand. You can cheap shot one of the league's biggest stars and still stay on the court. And if you think this was just a missed call, wait until you hear what the WNBA did after the cameras stopped rolling. Let's call it what it was, a double standard in plain sight.
Damn, somebody gotta step up for Caitlin, bro. This commissioner gonna have to do something or she need to get the hell on. We need to get somebody in.
Sophie Cunningham delivered a hard, physical foul, no question. But the second it happened, the whistle blew, and she was tossed without hesitation. No debate, no review, just gone. Now compare that to Marina Mabrey's hit. She blindsided Caitlin Clark, didn't go for the ball, didn't even try to hide it. She launched into her like it was personal, and yet, she stayed in the game. No flagrant, no ejection. Just a quiet little technical and business as usual. So fans started asking the obvious, what are the refs even doing?
And Marina can't seem to control her temper, and she puts on what looks like an MMA elbow swing.
It wasn't just Clark supporters either. Analysts, former players, even broadcasters during the game were saying it out loud. If Mabrey had been ejected like she should have been, the rest of the chaos wouldn't have happened. But instead, the league let it slide. Cunningham's foul looked aggressive. Mabrey's? It looked dangerous. And somehow, the more violent play got the lighter penalty. Make it make sense. That's when the floodgates opened. Social media lit up. People weren't just angry, they felt like they were watching 2 different rulebooks being used in the same game.
Throw her ass right out of that arena is exactly why all eyes are on the WNBA, the commissioner, Adam Silver, the NBA.
But that wasn't the end of it, because when the league finally stepped in, it only added fuel to the fire. So let's get this straight. Marina Mabrey shoved Caitlin Clark to the ground in what looked like a deliberate, full-speed blindside hit, and the refs thought that didn't meet the bar for a flagrant 2. That's exactly what happened. Referee Ashley Gloss gave a post-game explanation that left fans stunned. Her defense? She claimed the contact did not rise to the level of an ejection and did not meet the criteria for a flagrant foul penalty 2. Just a technical foul. That's it. No ejection. No consequences in real time. Mabrey got to finish the game while Clark picked herself up off the hardwood.
And Caitlin Clark are talking to the official. They're both going at it saying, hey, oh, there's a little extra right there. Uh-oh.
Let that sink in. You have a player who wasn't anywhere near the ball, who launched herself directly into an unsuspecting opponent, and somehow that didn't qualify as excessive or unnecessary force. People weren't just confused, they were furious, because this wasn't a judgment call. It was a missed opportunity to control the game before it spiraled out of hand. Even the commentators said it in real time. If they just ejected Marina Mabrey when it happened, everything would have been avoided. Instead, they let it slide. And the rest of the game turned into a meltdown. 6 technicals, 3 ejections, 2 flagrants, and fans online calling it WNBA Fight Night. But Gloss doubled down. She stood there after the game and repeated the same thing. The shove didn't hit the threshold. Really? Because from every replay angle, you could clearly see Mabrey go chest first into Clark's face. Clark wasn't even holding the ball. She was walking away, head turned, not expecting contact. And somehow, this wasn't seen as dangerous. It wasn't a basketball play. It wasn't a hard foul in the paint. It was a heat-seeking move aimed at one of the league's most watched stars. And instead of calling it what it was, the officials shrugged it off. That's what made fans lose it. That's what sparked the headline. Not just the foul itself, but the weak response to it. Because if officials like Gloss are allowed to ignore plays like this, what's the standard? When is it okay to eject someone? When they break a bone? When the crowd starts booing? And the most frustrating part? The referees had every opportunity to get it right. They watched it live. They had access to replay. They saw the reaction from the players and the audience. Yet still, they chose the softest penalty possible. It didn't feel like officiating. It felt like avoidance. And while Mabrey walked off laughing and Clark tried to keep playing through it, a bigger issue was boiling underneath, because this wasn't just about one play. It was about trust, about safety, about whether the rules actually apply to everyone. And just when people thought the drama was over, the WNBA tried to fix it quietly. No press conference, no headline, just a low-profile update buried on their website. Marina Mabrey's foul has been upgraded to a flagrant 2. That's it. No explanation, no accountability, just a silent admission that the refs blew it. It was a move that reeked of damage control, the kind you make after the cameras stop rolling, after social media loses its mind, after everyone's already calling out the league for protecting the wrong people. Let's be real, if that shove had been properly called in the moment, Mabrey would have been ejected. No debate, no confusion, but instead, the refs let it slide, and now the league is backpedaling after the fact. And that's the problem. This wasn't just a whoops moment. It was a full-blown credibility crisis, because if the league has to sneak in corrections the day after, what does that say about their officials, about their standards, about their trust in their own process? Fans aren't dumb. They saw right through it. The league only acted after the outrage, not because it was the right thing to do, but because they were getting dragged across every platform. And even that correction didn't feel like justice. It felt like a cover-up. A quiet flagrant 2 won't undo the fact that Clark took a hit with zero protection. It won't erase the damage, and it sure doesn't restore faith in refs who failed to do their job when it mattered most. Here's where things really start to fall apart, because the calls weren't just bad, they were all over the place. Caitlin Clark got poked in the eye, literally clawed, during a dead ball. Her reaction? A frustrated shove. Not wild, not dangerous, just human. And for that, she gets hit with a technical foul. Meanwhile, Marina Mabrey blindsides her with a full-speed body check while she's nowhere near the ball, and it's downgraded to a simple tech? You've got to be kidding. That's not just inconsistent, that's insulting. One player reacts after being attacked and gets punished. The other starts the chaos and gets to keep playing. Where's the logic? And it didn't stop there. Sophie Cunningham got tossed on the spot for a hard foul in the closing seconds. No review, no hesitation. Was it physical? Sure. But compared to what Mabrey did, it was nothing. Fans weren't just confused, they were furious, because it felt like there were different rules depending on who committed the foul and who got hit. And let's be honest, when Caitlin Clark is involved, the spotlight burns hotter. So when she's getting slammed to the floor, and officials don't act, people notice. And when that same crew turns around and calls a tech on her for reacting to being poked in the face, that's when the trust starts to break. It sends one clear message: the rules change depending on who's wearing the jersey. That kind of inconsistency doesn't just make fans mad, it makes them lose faith. And once trust is gone, the league's entire image starts to crack. But Mabrey's response to all of this? That took things to another level. So how did Marina Mabrey respond to the backlash? With a smirk and a paycheck. Instead of offering an apology, instead of even pretending to show remorse, Mabrey jumped on TikTok and doubled down. Her exact words? Every time they comment, "I make dollars." That wasn't just bold, it was a middle finger to the entire situation. She wasn't bothered. She wasn't rattled. She embraced the chaos like it was part of the plan. The hit on Caitlin Clark, the flagrant 2 upgrade, the outrage from fans, she turned it into content, into clout, into cash. And that's when people really lost it. Because this wasn't just a bad foul anymore, it became a brand. Mabrey saw the controversy, saw the headlines, and leaned into it like it was good for business. And in a way, it was. The views spiked. Her name trended. Her clip went viral. And all the while, she laughed it off as just another payday. No responsibility, no accountability, just a viral quote and a smug attitude that told everyone watching, "I'm not sorry, and I don't care what you think." Even her defenders couldn't explain it. Even the league went silent. Because the truth is, Mabrey didn't just walk away from the foul, she walked away with the attention. And that's the part that stings the most, because if a player can take down the league's biggest name, dodge the consequences and go viral bragging about it, what message does that send? But here's the twist, this wasn't a one-time thing. Mabrey's history says this is exactly who she is. This wasn't a one-time thing, and anyone who's followed Marina Mabrey's career knows it. The shove on Caitlin Clark wasn't an accident. It wasn't heat of the moment. It was on brand. Because Mabrey has built a reputation around being overly physical, confrontational, and borderline reckless. She's not known for finesse, she's known for fights, for drama, for pushing boundaries way past the line. Ask fans from Dallas, Chicago, or now Connecticut. Every team she's played for has seen the same thing: cheap fouls, trash talk, and body-first plays that have nothing to do with basketball. And the league has let it slide for years. She's been called the enforcer, the agitator, even the villain. And she leans into it. That TikTok? That wasn't out of character. That was Mabrey doing what she always does, turning chaos into attention. This isn't about passion. It's not about playing tough. It's a pattern. And it's dangerous, because when a player like that gets rewarded with minutes, highlights, and headlines while others get fined and ejected for far less, what kind of message does that send? It tells everyone watching that you can go after stars like Clark and get away with it, as long as it gets views, as long as it goes viral. And that's exactly what's happening. Crowds now boo when Mabrey touches the ball. Players flinch when she gets near them. And yet she keeps showing up with the same energy, shoving, slamming, and walking away like nothing happened. But here's the part the league still doesn't get. This isn't just about one game. It's about a system that lets players like Mabrey cross the line over and over again, without consequences. And unless something changes, this won't be the last time the WNBA finds itself cleaning up after a mess they could have stopped in real time. This isn't just about one bad call, or one dirty foul, or even one controversial player. This is about a league on the edge of a credibility crisis. Because when the rules shift from minute to minute, when ejections are missed live and upgraded later, when stars get blindsided and the officials blink, what are we even watching? The WNBA doesn't just have a referee problem. It has a trust problem. Players are frustrated. Coaches are confused. Fans? They're tired of seeing their favorite athletes put at risk, only to be told, "Oops, we got it wrong," after the damage is already done. You can't build a league around rising stars like Caitlin Clark and then fail to protect them when it matters most. You can't say the game is growing while letting chaos unfold in front of national audiences. And you definitely can't keep relying on TikTok, Twitter, and viral outrage to fix what should have been handled on the floor. What's happening now is bigger than one flagrant. It's a pattern of hesitation, cover-ups, and silence. And it's pushing people away. Because if officials can't be trusted to call it straight, and the league waits until fans explode before stepping in, the message is loud and clear: the game isn't in control anymore, reactions are. And until the WNBA takes that seriously, every missed call, every delayed penalty, every ignored shove, just chips away at the league's integrity. The question now isn't just what happened to Caitlin Clark. The question is, who's really running this league?